Hello there, welcome back to my channel, Crafty Concepts with Erin. I'm so glad you're here because we are going to create a double-page scrapbook layout featuring the Autumn to Remember workshop kit from Stampin' Up. Now you can get these elements kind of a la carte, but the workshop has some bonus papers and elements that I really love, like this half sheet of faux wood grain punch outs. So you can see there's titles, Autumn Days, Grateful, Thanks, Oh Blessed Day, and then all sorts of fall inspired shapes like leaves and trees and just fall goodness. Fall's one of my favorite seasons, so I get so excited. I always have really fun photos and just love all the colors. So this is just makes me happy. So I love all the layouts. I think I'm going to be using some of the elements from this one, but I have more photos. So I'm going to be switching it up and making it my own. You can see they have a 12 by 12 sticker sheet. Again, lots of titles and then fun embellishments to add to your layouts. And then the papers, you get 2 of each and they're double-sided. I've already got these flipped over. So that's one set of pattern papers there. And I love the distressing they have worked into the design. That's so pretty. And then here's another set. All my papers are twisted around here. We've got like a wonky grid, and on the other side we have these little triangle trees. And then adorable woodland creatures. So on one side you have little forest creatures, and then the other side you have trees. So I can think of, great ideas for both of these. It's going to be kind of hard to decide which one I want to go with, but I do love having those options. And now these are the bonus pattern papers. So you get this lovely stripe, and then you get 2 of the wood grain papers here. I love it. It's like a gray wood grain. And then this beautiful paper here. So there's also a bunch of die cut shapes. I'm in the process of kind of punching these out. So you can see here's that wreath element, and they just pop right out. You can see it nicely on that background there. And then there's some leaves, some tabs, some other little circular embellishments, and then all of the fun punch out pieces you need to create those pre-designed layouts. Or you could just use that as a jumping off point and use these pieces to embellish your own projects. So let me just move all of these aside and we'll grab my Versamats. As I mentioned, this is going to be a double page layout, and I am documenting Thanksgiving of 2023. So I've got more photos, but this is my main focal photo here. I did print this a true 4x6, and it's a big family group shot of everyone who was there. As a scrapbooker, do yourself a favor and get a group shot at holiday functions, because there's so many photos, and this way you can get everybody onto the layout and make sure nobody's left out. So I work really hard to get a group photo. We've even got a couple of the dogs in there. I took a minute to really study the sketch, and I somewhat followed directions. So you can see on this layout here, there is a green sheet of cardstock, and then they've trimmed this paper down to create a frame style layout. Looks like they have their wood grain running that way. I think I'm going to put mine this way. They've got their strips of paper and then one across the bottom. I am going to just use this. I want more of this to show, so I'm skipping the green part around the outside. Now, because I don't have that frame style layout, I did cut these the same width, but they are longer. So I still need to put the dovetail in them. But I'm thinking, let's just see how these are going to work. I think I'll put them just how they have them. And I'm wondering if I'll be able to save some of this wood grain paper. So let's put this one over here, maybe starting at 1 inch in. And then we'll just kind of repeat that on the opposite side and see how this will work out, because they have their paper slightly overlapped. So let's go 1 inch on either border. So we got to get this one a little centered better. And yeah, if I put down a base sheet of cardstock, I can cut all of that out and save that for another project. So I think I'm going to do that. So I should dovetail these first, so I make sure that I know exactly where these are going to end. Normally I just cut up from the center and then in from each corner, but let's go ahead and try it this way and see. I don't want to bend it, but by folding it, you can, I know I'm struggling. I like my way better. So do what works for you. So I don't like it. I don't like it. Well, at least we know where center is. So I'm just going to go like this and then in from each corner, and I'll go ahead and do each of the pieces. Now you can just cut one and then use it as a template for your others, and then they will all be the same, which is, I think, is how I will do it. That looks pretty good there. I don't know why that just felt awkward to me. I couldn't quite hold it like I needed to. So this works for me. I'll go ahead and do the rest off camera and I'll be right back. Actually, I'll go ahead and do one with you so you know what I mean by using it as a template. So line them up, make sure they're flush at the bottom corner, and then follow along that cut so they all end up very uniform and will look very nice going across the page. I'll go ahead and finish these up off camera, and I do want to add a little soft ink blending to the edges of all my pattern paper. Now this is toffee. I wanted a light brown, and this was handy. If you have Stampin' Up ink, you would want to use pecan pie for a similar effect, and especially on these lighter color patterns, this is something I pretty much do on every scrapbook layout, is ink the edges. It just makes a big difference. I got all of those pieces inked up. This side's adhered down. I already gutted out the background, so I thought I'd do this side with you on camera so you can see how I do that. So I have an inch showing, and I do want to overlap just a little bit, so I know I need to go in more than an inch. And if you look at the bottom, if we stay above 2 inches, it won't be visible beneath these points here. So let's just set this aside, and then using our rail trimmer, we are going to come and let's go ahead and give it a 1/2 inch border around the edge there. So we're going to cut down to the 10, that's leaving 2 inches, rotate it, and you want to, oops, I want to go 1.5 here. What am I doing? 2 inches. And then, so don't put this down until your blade is where you want it. So we're at the 1.5, go across. We're gonna stop, giving ourselves 1.5 over here, and then turn it one more time. And I'm using the measurement marks over here. We're in 1.5. So now I can just cut down to that point. And if it didn't turn out perfectly, you can just snip it with your scissors. But yeah, now we have 2 nice pieces that we could use on a whole nother double page layout. Maybe those could be the center pieces. There's lots of different things we could do. So I am going to use some cardstock beneath here so there is support for all of my strips. I have a piece of white cardstock I'm going to lay down as my base. I have my removable glue dots back in my craft room. I was out of these things for several weeks and it was just driving me crazy. There's, other options. You could use washi tape or whatever, but I just love my removable glue dots. They work so well. So I'm adding a little tape runner around the edge here, and then we'll bring in our wood grain piece, and then we can adhere our strips. So I'm going to show you the measurements here just in case you want to recreate the layout how I'm doing it rather than how the directions walk you through. So I'm lining this one up in the very center, and then these 2 go layered over the top. So I'm lining it up 1 inch from the right hand side, and then this one here 1 inch from the left hand side. Make sure this is nice and straight top to bottom there, and that looks good. Wait. That's not what I wanted. I reversed these on accident. I want them kind of the opposite. So the 2 orange pieces on the inside and then this pattern paper on the outside. There, better. Now for the left hand side, I like what they did with the little wreath here. So I cut this piece. It's got the wonky grid, but I do think I like this one, which is what they used. So that's going to sit pretty much in the center there. And then our wreath element will go around it. I'm just going to dry fit it for now. I can always rotate that later. So then our main focal photo right in the center. So you can see how they have that there. So these are some die cut punch out shapes, but I don't know. I'm going to embellish it differently. I am seeing lots of leaves, so I will show you what stamp set I'm going to use for that. Now on the other side, they've got 2 photos and the title over here. So I have 4 photos. So they've got 2 3x4s. I have 4 3x4s. So there's a few different options here. I could run these across the center in line with this photo, and I think that that would look very nice. We could mat them on brown cardstock or even this pattern paper here, or we could keep them like they were 2 4x6s and do something like that, or we could even go in a grid. So we could stack them like this. So I've got 2 photos where we're sitting in front of the fire pit. So I want those separated so they're not right next to each other. This is another similar family photo to this one, but this was everybody. And this is just my immediate, my husband and I, my oldest son Hayden and his girlfriend Desiree, Clayton, my youngest son, and his girlfriend. So this one is my mom and her husband Eric, my mom and I, and Luna, little Luna. And then we always eat outside. So this is just us setting up the table out on the backyard patio there. That's my husband and I. It was such a pretty day. So I am thinking I like this option. So this is good. We're going to need to bring in some cardstock or this pattern paper. I'm thinking I want to go with cardstock so it's not getting so crazy busy. Let's test it out. So this is early espresso cardstock, and we'll see how this looks. So I just want a hint of color. I think, well, that obviously works. It ties in with the other side, but let's bring in this pattern paper and see how that looks. You know what? I'm going to go with the cardstock. You're not seeing much of that pattern anyway, so why? Let's save that for another project. So I cut a piece down, and this will house all of my smaller 3x4 photos. Let me take just a second to glue those down. I have a couple stamp sets that I have brought over to use. I've got Autumn to Remember. I love this maple leaf here. And then this has great title options for fall pages. And then I have Changing Leaves. So my thought is for this one here. So this is one of those sets. They call it like a hybrid embossing folder. So you have the stamp. It's a clear stamp. And then a die. And then an embossing folder that all coordinate together. So you can get some beautiful looks with awesome texture. I am going to just stamp this leaf here and then die cut it out. And I'm picturing it kind of originating. We'll have something right here kind of anchoring our cluster and then the leaves coming out either side. I think that's going to be really pretty. So we'll stamp some of those. Now I just created a Thanksgiving layout in the Creative Design Team membership group. All month long we're talking about backgrounds, so I created this. I think it's a beautiful page, but anyway, I used this one, Bountiful Blessings, on that page, so I thought, oh, I don't want to use it twice. So I pulled this sticker. It says, "In all things give thanks." And then we also have Grateful for This Moment. So I think either one of those would go really nicely with a Thanksgiving theme. And then I'm just looking, there's Grateful. That might be pretty also. I did kind of remove the adhesive from the back of that. If you pat it with an anti-static powder tool or just pat it on your arm, it reduces the stickiness so you can kind of temporarily try it out. So this would be cute. Maybe we should do our leaves and then that could be matted on something. I don't know. Let's try this one too. So before I decide on that, I think I need to die cut my leaves. So let's go ahead and set those aside for just a moment and make some room here. I'll show you one on camera, but I think I'm going to create several of these. So I've got Cajun Craze. This is like my new favorite fall color. And you can tell it's like all over me here. I've been having fun. So let's ink this up and we'll stamp it on some white paper. The wreath on the left-hand side is white. So I thought I'd bring in some, white. At first I was thinking kind of a cream color, but since that wreath is white, we're just sticking with this color here. So we're going to go ahead and give that just a moment to soak in. That looks absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to stamp out a few more of these and get them all die cut, and I'll be right back. I went ahead and stamped 3 of those all in Cajun Craze and got them die cut out. So before we get carried away with the embellishments, let's go ahead and glue the wreath down. So I'm just going to add a drop of glue in some of the larger areas, get it into place, and then I can always go back in and add glue where it's needed. But the embellishments will actually help hold this in place as well. I know I want one here following the circle and then one going the opposite direction. I definitely need something in the middle, but we'll come back to that. So let's add one all the way over to the right hand side. And then I want to use some of those faux paperboard wood grain shapes. Or they're paperboard faux wood grain shapes. These are really fun. This is something that close to my heart carried a lot of. We also have these leaves that I punched out of the die cut, which look like these leaves. So since I'm using them on this layout, you can always stamp some more and use them on the other layouts that called for these leaves. I'm kind of borrowing from one of the other layout embellishments. So we need a title, and I'm thinking this could be the top of my leaf cluster, but we could also possibly kind of tuck this back here. I'm using my Cricut spatula to break the adhesive because I wasn't planning to do this, but it's just kind of big. So I'm thinking if we just cover half of it, I need to get that a little bit better there. And then just the top that says, "In all things, give thanks." You know what? I really like that. Since I'm using my title elsewhere, I need something else to, finish off my leaf cluster. This is just a collection of leftover die cuts. That could work. We also have a spotlight on nature die. I do like that. This little circle here, it's red cardstock, so I don't know if I really want to bring red in. But let's cut off the bottom of the trees here so we can actually use those on another project. No sense in wasting that. And then we'll just ink up the edges so this stands out a bit better. And then we can tuck this in back behind our photo. It kind of looks like a file tab. Actually, I want it here behind the photo. So I'm not really crazy about having just a big white blank circle. We need something on the circle. So I'm going to have to think about that. Let's add some of these wood grain shapes here. Just to add a little bit of that wood texture to the layout and beef up our embellishment clusters just a bit more. And then, of course, whatever you do to one side, you want to carry over to the opposite side. So I will go ahead and add some leaves to this area also. Those aren't really showing up as much. We need a bigger one there. We'll come back to that. I don't know about this red circle. I think we need to abandon that idea. So if you go back to the little punch out paperboard shapes, we have grateful. That doesn't work. We also have this one, oh, blessed day. Well, that's kind of perfect, but I don't want 2 titles. So if we put this over here, then it becomes kind of a subtitle. Not that you can't have 2 titles on a page. I don't know. I felt like it was a little text heavy, so it looks better on the right-hand side. So I typed up my journaling, cut that out with a circle, and that is going to be perfect. I also have these little tags that are part of the workshop. I thought we could do a little cluster up top here. And then we've got some different sentiment stickers. This one says, "Golden leaves, autumn breeze." So I'm removing just a little bit of the tackiness so I don't have to commit to that if I don't want to. I don't know about the tag. It needs a little something more up here. Let's move on to these little chevron shapes. You can see they have those around the circle, and why not, right? Let's try it. Let's see how it looks with the changes that we've made. So I've got 5 total, so I'm going to put 3 over here, maybe scoot those down a bit. And then we'll add these 2 to the right-hand side. I think they look okay. You know what? I like them. Let's go for it. And then this one, let's move our leaves down and maybe go out, pointing away from the circle there. It's kind of funny. I just recently scrapbooked Thanksgiving of 2021, and there really wasn't a whole lot of photos, and same here with 2023. This is actually very few photos for a big Thanksgiving meal. But for whatever reason, 2022, there are all the photos, and I've already done 3 double page layouts for that particular day, and I still haven't even documented them all. I just, we did have extra family here during that year, and they love to take photos too, so I think we were all just sharing photos, which I'm so happy to have the photos. Sometimes I go to scrapbooking event after the fact, and I'm disappointed that I didn't get hardly any photos. So, I guess it's better to have too many than not enough. I'm still fiddling with this little cluster up here. This is an arrow. I fussy cut one of the shapes that is like a little leaf and some acorns. So I am noticing that these leaves on the bottom are hidden. So maybe we could snip those off and stretch them somewhere else. If you look at the cluster all the way over on the right hand side, it feels unbalanced to me. We need some of this Cajun Craze color down below. We just had the red leaves on top and the green leaves on the bottom, and it just felt a little bit off to me. So I did the same thing and borrowed one of the leaves that was hidden, but I don't know if I love that. I think I'm going to have to just go stamp a whole nother cluster and die cut it out and do it right. Inspired by the layout in the workshop, I went ahead and trimmed down this sticker. So this was actually 1/2 inch by 12 inch sticker, and I cut it in half to run across the top portion of my layout. Now the workshop has this on the bottom, so I'm reversing it, but I think that I kind of want my banners, my large strips of paper are in a banner shape. I feel like they need to be hanging from something, so this serves that purpose. Plus we have that nice pop of that golden yellow, which complements the yellows in the pattern paper. So let me just go ahead and peel off the backing and we can get these into place. So one is slightly thicker than the other because I just kind of eyeballed it, but I'm okay with it. I think they're close enough that no one is going to notice. I also have these faux glass dots in autumn colors. These are in the current seasonal catalog and they're perfect for fall layouts. So let's go ahead and look at the workshop design here. It's super cute. And then the changes I made to make it work for my style and my photos. I think this little leaf cluster turned out so pretty, and you can see those dots that I added around the clusters there. And let me hold this one up because I made a few changes to this upper corner. I added one of those single leaves that we had trimmed off, and there's the bottom with the, I added a whole die cut sprig of those leaves, and I do think that looks a lot better. I'm excited to have that extra wood grain paper to use on another project. That's going to be fun. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments section below, and everything I used to create this layout can also be found in the description box. Thanks for watching.